Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Murder at Castle Nathria expansion of Hearthstone is introducing a new card type to Hearthstone, and that's a first for a very long time. So we have weapons, we have minions, we have spells, and now we also have locations. This expansion is going to introduce 10 locations, one for each class, and as a new card type that means that locations will also feature in future expansions. This is a permanent addition to the game. But are these locations going to be good or bad for Hearthstone? There are some upsides and downsides to the design choices Blizzard has made when developing locations. First of all, my main gripe about locations is that they add another element of uninteractivity into Hearthstone. Hearthstone already has problems because you can't react during your opponent's turns, so it is sometimes hard to balance, like, what can you do about your opponent? How can you really play a game together with your opponent instead of just playing a game of solitaire? And there are many design elements in locations that further promote this solitaire gameplay instead of interactive gameplay in Hearthstone. First of all, they come on the board and you cannot interact with them. They are just there. They cannot be damaged. You can't shoot at a location with a fireball. You can't attack a location with a minion. They are indestructible unless there's going to be a new tech card that targets locations. And I mean, if there's a tech card that targets locations, then that's going to be pretty bad as well. Because at the moment locations are not very common, so having to include tech cards into your deck just to counter those, that would just be horrible for deck building. They're not spells, they're not minions, you can't counter them with a counter spell, you can't remove them from hand with Mutinous, there's just nothing you can do about them pretty much. And also their uses are free, which means that once you have the location set up on the board, then you will be able to pull off some pretty wacky things, because that location is just going to sit there and the opponent is going to face this inevitability that, hey, the location is there, and now they're going to be able to use that and pull off things worth way more mana than they have access to. And yeah, that's not a particularly great feeling. On the other hand, there are also some elements of locations that can add strategic depth to Hearthstone, and there are some design decisions that Blizzard has clearly made in order to mitigate some of these uninteractive elements of locations. The main mitigation choice that Blizzard has made is the one-turn cooldown and ability use. So you play your location, you're able to use the location's ability for free on the turn it's played, but then it goes on cooldown. So you can only use the location's ability every second turn. For example, this Cathedral of Atonement, 3 mana, 3 durability location. They also have durability, they have limited uses, so they're not permanent like a Juggernaut would be. But 3 durability, so that means that if you use it on the turn you play it, and then you can use it 2 turns after that, and then you can use it 2 turns after that. So overall it will take you 5 turns to get the full value out of Cathedral of Atonement. For example, in the case of Cathedral of Atonement, because the effect is give a minion +2/+1 and draw a card, that's essentially the Paladin spell, and that's a 2 mana spell, and it's a great 2 mana spell, so that's at least 2 mana worth of effect, and you're going to get it 3 times, so you're getting at least 6 mana worth, you could think, from Cathedral of Atonement. But because it's spaced out over 5 turns, then that makes it a little bit more bearable. Also, because locations are played in the same space as minions are played, and that space is limited, you can only have 7 minions on your board. Well, location takes a board slot, so then you can only have 6 of the minions on the board. And also the positioning of the location matters, because if there's something like cleave effect, for example, locations are like dormant minions. They just sit there, they take that space, but they cannot be damaged. So if there's a cleave effect and you position location between your minions, then those minions cannot be cleaved into. So, okay, there are some attempts here to also add strategic depth to the game with locations, but I'm not very convinced that these additions truly help compared to all the uninteractive elements that locations are adding to the game. So far, Blizzard has revealed 7 locations, and all of the locations, they are great value, like Muck Pools, transfer a friendly minion in one that costs 1 more, 3 durability, so that's essentially 3 1-mana spells. Cathedral of Atonement, 3 mana, give a minion +2/+1 and draw a card, 3 durability, that's like 3 2-mana spells. Castle Kennels is probably one of the least valuable locations in terms of like raw value. Your friendly minion +2 attack, if it's a beast, give it rush. But on the other hand, it also, of course, depends on the available pool of minions. That's a Hunter location. Hunter has access to cards like Tarantula, for example, and when Tarantula dies, it summons Poisonous Rush minions. So with Kennels on the board, you can play your Tarantula, you can give your Tarantula Rush, then it will die off, and it will summon some Poisonous minions, so there can still be a lot of value because of the location's interaction with other cards in your class, other cards in your deck, than just the raw value of the location as such. Paladin's Great Hall, that's just downright nuts, isn't it? 2 mana, set a minion's attack and health to 3 durability. So you can either buff up your own minions early in the game, or you can make the opponent's minions really small, like, wow. Sanguine Depth, deal 1 damage to a minion and give it +1 attack. That's probably one of the worst locations. That's probably the worst location revealed so far. It's very hard to find much uses for it, but maybe if there's some appropriate frenzy effects or something. And then Hedge Maze, the druid location, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. That's potentially just downright bonkers. Yeah, that seems like you can do some really crazy stuff with that, and if there's no way to interact with any of that, then that just means that these are ways to build some really deep inevitabilities into the game. And then the mage location, Nightcloak Sanctum, freeze a minion, summon a 2/2 volatile skeleton, 3 uses. Seems like a very, very valuable card as well. And then there's the whole other bag of worms with all of those volatile skeletons and these pre-built deck archetypes that I will probably talk about in another video. But yeah, overall I am not too thrilled about locations, because I think in the grand scheme of things, locations will make Hearthstone, again, less interactive, and that's a huge problem for the game already, but we'll see how it all works out in the end. Also, because we're now visiting Shadowlands, this would have been such a great opportunity for Blizzard to add proper graveyard mechanics into the game, and those graveyard mechanics could be really interactive. You could interact with your own graveyard, you could interact with your opponent's graveyard. That would be awesome, and that would be really something that the game would need, but instead they are adding these, which I guess is a lot less development time, of course, because you don't have to really do much new things. And yeah, well, we'll see how it goes once Castle Nathria is available. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.